These strategies are very powerful, so be careful with them. Back in the day, Goebbels, who was Hitler's propaganda minister, used them to influence the Nazi movement. You can absolutely use them for evil, but we use this concept to create better sales pages, to grow our influencer campaigns, to create better ads, to grow our brands. For example, we created a page that converts traffic at 14%. In the first 6 months, that page alone generated more than $1 million. We also use these for our TikTok campaigns. So for example, we created a campaign that generates more than $500,000 per month from TikTok. So when you're starting your e-commerce business, you already have that foundation, that marketing foundation that you can use to start and then scale your business. So I want to focus on the keys, on the strategies that you can use, not on the exact headlines, the exact sales pages, the exact ads that we use, because those were just the ads we used for us. But I want to show you the concepts so you can use that for anything you do in the future. In today's world, we use very advanced marketing concepts, and a lot of people understand marketing, people understand how to build brands, people study marketing in university and they apply it every day in companies. But that wasn't always the case. So for example, 100 years ago or even 80 years ago, when car companies sold their cars, they were not selling any of the benefits, they were just showing the features. This had a big trunk, this can go this many miles, this fuel consumption is this.
And going downhill can be tough on a car too. Here you see how Ford's double-seal king-size brakes perform perfectly under the most severe conditions.
But in today's world, cars are marketed very differently. So now the car companies connect them to your feelings. So for example, companies today sell the benefits of that. They sell how you feel about that. So if you buy a massive SUV that you're never ever gonna drive off-road, they're still gonna sell you that possibility, the freedom of being able to drive off-road. And they're not just showing you, hey, this has big tires and can go over bumps. They're connected with a feeling.
The boldly stylish and comfortable Honda Elevate. You're the chase.
So if they're selling a van, then they're saying, hey, your kids can sit really high and they can look out. So if you're on a trip, everything is super practical and useful and you can create experiences with your family. So today it's a very common thing. And I want to share a couple of stories how this came all about. And Sigmund Freud was kind of the igniter of that. So he came up with the concept of the unconscious mind. What that means is he discovered that humans have kind of two minds. We have the logical mind or logical brain that makes logical decisions. Do I need this? Yes. Okay, this is what I'm going to buy. But then he discovered that actually the biggest driver that we have is an emotional driver. So our subconscious mind is the decisions that we make based on our feelings that we're not even aware of, but that drive us every day. And he proved that this concept is true. Now, during the war, of course, all of these concepts were used to influence people and to use it for propaganda. But then after the war was over, his nephew called Edward Bernays, he studied his work, he studied Sigmund Freud's work, and he really understood all the principles. But there was no more propaganda needed. So now he had all this knowledge, and I was like, how can I use this knowledge? And he was wondering if he can use the same principle to influence people to buy something. Maybe he can use it for commerce. Back in the 50s, he got approached by Lucky Strike, and Lucky Strike had a big problem. All the people were already smoking. All of their market was saturated, and all of their market was men. So he wanted to change that. And when Lucky Strike approached him, he came up with a concept and an idea. He used the unconscious mind. So he studied the women, he understood them, he asked them questions, he created focus group, and he really uncovered that what women really wanted at that time is they wanted freedom. They didn't talk about products, they just talked about what are their desires. And they felt back then that men were the boss of the house and the women had no say, and they kind of didn't like that.
There's a taboo by men that does not permit women to smoke, either in public or even at home.
So he used that angle and he created a huge campaign. In New York City, every year there was a big parade, and for the parade he hired celebrity female women that on their leg were wearing a band with Lucky Strikes in it that were holding the cigarettes. And he wanted to create this campaign, but he needed to connect it to the feeling of freedom. So what he thought about is that what represents freedom? And the thing that represents freedom the most is the Statue of Liberty. Everyone in America knows the Statue of Liberty and it represents freedom. But also the Statue of Liberty is a woman. And the Statue of Liberty is holding what? A torch. And then he rattled all the media. And then on the march, in the middle of the march, there were like 20 women, beautiful women, holding a cigarette, marching. And the torch of freedom, symbolized by the cigarette, women smoking, got a lot of attention. Next day, all the media, all the news channels printed that on their first page. freedom, torch of freedom campaign. And then all of the women, a lot of the women in the country thought about, hey, this represents freedom. I want to be free. All these celebrity women smoke. I want to smoke too. And then all the women start smoking.
Next morning, there wasn't a newspaper in the United States, even the New York Times had a front page story, debutantes light torches of freedom to protest man's inhumanity to women by a taboo against smoking.
So see, he didn't go out and say, these Lucky Strikes has the best cigarettes, and Lucky Strikes has cigarettes that have special tobacco and that are rolled in a special way and that are toasted in a special way.
It's toasted to taste even better, cleaner, fresher, smoother. So light up a Lucky. You'll say it's the best tasting cigarette you ever smoked.
He didn't do any of that. He sold the feeling. So what women wanted was freedom. He connected that with the campaign. So here's how we use this principle, and then maybe you can model after that as well. We're working with one adult toy brand, and we had a big problem. So we had this new product, we launched it, we put a page up, and the page was not converting at all. So we tried everything. We did all of the marketing tricks in the book, and then we came up with a crazy idea. It's like, what if we just ask our customers how they feel and what they want? So we interviewed them as a focus group and we asked them very deep questions. They got a reward, some of them got money, some of them got few products, but we find enough people that actually wanted to be, that were okay to be interviewed about this kind of intimate topic. And what we initially thought is that all the women want with the product is they want to have an orgasm, they want to have fun with it, they want to use it, and they want to have fun, and they want to, go to bed and sleep well. Like that was what we thought what women want. But what we figured out is, well, all they wanted to have is connection. And normally when they're intimate with their partner and their partner finishes first or they can't have an orgasm, then they feel like it's their fault. So the women say, shit, it's my fault. Something must be wrong with me. And because of that, they lose their confidence. And because they don't have confidence, then when they're dating someone new or when they're, want to go out, then they can't have the confidence to actually approach someone, to actually connect with someone. That's what they wanted. So the desire, the same way that the women in the 50s wanted freedom, the women in our campaign wanted connection. But the thing that was standing in the way of the connection was they weren't confident. So then we position our product differently. We position our product, instead of a tool for pleasure, we position it as a tool for self-exploration. And we said, hey, if you use this tool, you get to know each other. It's like dancing. If you're dancing, you need practice. You're not good immediately. So if you want to go on a date with someone, you're not good at dancing, you probably don't want to dance. You're never going to have that connection. But if you have a lot of practice dancing, then it's very easy for you to be with someone, to connect with someone, and you have a good time. The same thing goes for you with a toy. We restructured the whole page, and instead of selling features, we just sold emotions. The headline said something like, connect with others and create intimate connections. And then we had the features of the product with this many features, so you can go dive deeper into self-exploration, get to know each other, and become more confident. So every point on the page made that point. We even had a headline in the copy that said, it's not your fault, really. And that is something that makes no sense if you just read through the page. It's not your fault, really. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. That has nothing to do with the product. But it really connected. Once we made the change, the page went to convert 14%. It became our best-selling product in the whole store. I'm going to go into how you can use this, how you can survey people, what questions to ask, how to really understand what your customer wants, and then how to apply it to your own thing. I will make this actionable. But I want to give you one more story that kind of makes that point a little bit better. The next company that approached Bernays was Betty Crocker, and they did a cake mix. So back then, the women were spending hours in the kitchen, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours to make a cake, to bake, and it was really exhausting work. So then the very first cake mix was invented. All you have to do, put the ingredients in a pot, steer it, put it in the oven, it's done. Instead of spending hours on it, you only spend, 10 minutes mixing the thing and then the oven does the rest. So logically, it should have been a crazy seller. And what this story will show you is sometimes you have something that's actually working even though your sales are not that great. You just need to tweak one tiny little detail and your campaign could explode. So Bernays spoke to all of the women. He created focus groups. All he did is he tried to get to the emotions. He tried to understand why the women feel the certain way. And what he understood in the end of the day is that when women make the cake, they get the feeling of accomplishment by creating value to their family. So if their husband comes back from work or it's weekend and they can enjoy with the whole family, their home, and she spent all her time and effort to create this cake and then her family enjoys it, she feels like she feels valued. But if she's just doing a cake mix and she's just serving it to her family will not know. But she will know. So she feel like she cheated her family. She didn't put the effort in it to create the value for her family.
He concluded that they felt unconscious guilt at the new image being promoted of ease and convenience.
And then Bernays came up with something, and this is so simple and so stupid, and that really shows that sometimes little tweaks can make or break your whole campaigns, is he just added an egg. So all of the packaging, all of the formula, nothing changed, everything stayed exactly the same. He just added to the packaging. He said, now add 1 egg for your extra special homemade goodness.
So what you've got to do in those circumstances is remove the barrier being guilt. The way you do that is to give the housewife a greater sense of participation.
And how do you do that?
By adding an egg.
And that really worked. So when people saw the packaging in the store, all of the objection disappeared and people were buying it like crazy. Just a tiny change, adding an egg, logically doesn't make you add more value to it.
Told Betty Crocker to put an instruction on the packet that the housewife should add an egg. It would be an unconscious symbol, he said, of the housewife mixing in her own eggs as a gift to her husband, and so would lessen the guilt. Betty Crocker did it, and the sales soared.
Just the action of doing it in people's unconscious mind made that connection, and it made it clear that I put effort because I add my own homemade goodness to the finished thing, and by doing so I'm not cheating myself out of the creation of the value for my family. We used the same thing for a KOL campaign with influencers on YouTube for clothing steamers. We ran a campaign and it really didn't work. So we created our own focus group. We just went on Upwork and we created a job post, say paid survey. We paid people like $10 for a phone call. We want to interview people that already have a steamer, people that are interested in a steamer but don't have one yet, or people that have multiple steamers. And then we just interviewed 20 people and we jumped on the phone with them and we just asked them questions. So the first thing that you can ask is always about the person. You want to get to know them. So the best question that I found to really understand the personality of a person is to ask them, what do your friends call you for? Because some people get called, oh, my friends always call me for love advice. My friends always call me to go party. My friends always call me to hang out with them because I'm such an, entertaining person and they love to have fun with me. So you really get to understand about the person, who they are. Then I asked 5 whys. So the 5 why formula is really, you want to understand deep what they say. So for example, if we asked the person, why do you want to buy a steamer? It's like, well, obviously I don't want my clothes to be wrinkled. So okay, why is that important to you? Oh, because then my clothes look really nice. Why do you care about that? Why does that matter to you? Oh, it matters because people judge you whether your clothes look fine or not. It's like, oh, why do you care about that? Well, I have a lot of business meetings, so if I go out, I want to make sure I feel confident, and I go out and I can present in front of people. Oh, so it gives you confidence. Why did you have that feeling? Well, because I remember when I was a kid, every time I got new clothes, and I put these new clothes on, they were looking so good, the colors were shining, everything was good, and when I went to school, I felt very good. So that was the emotional connection. That was the feeling. It's about feeling confidence, it's about feeling good, it's about connecting those memories back, and that's the feeling of confidence by having the clothing look good. So then we created a campaign that shows the change of confidence. So we had one nerdy person with like wrinkled clothes, and we just had him walk through a wall of steam, and when he came out on the other side, he looked really handsome. He had like sunglasses on, he had a white shirt, everything was perfect. So we created this as a concept and then reached out to KOLs and influencers and say, hey, this is a concept that we're going for, put your own spin on it. And then they created their own funny, entertaining, for the platform perfect driven campaigns and videos that then really connected with people, and then sales blew up. So to make this actionable, crazy concept, talk to your customers. You learn so much from them. You have so many things that you can do. Find out what is their desire, their actual desire. What are all the things that they really want? What is the obstacle that stands in their way? And then you can figure out how can you position your product as the solution to how they want to feel. So we created headlines like, don't let your appearance stand in the way of closing that next business deal. And then the copy said something like, if you travel, this product fits in your bag, so you can take it and unwrinkle your clothes, so you're more confident. So that's kind of like the angle. That one works really well. Obviously spend more time on it than me just, telling you in a minute here, but use the benefits, the desire, the thing they want to avoid, and position your product as a solution to their problem. Then move on to your bullet points. So for the bullet points, use this hack. Feature, benefit. What that means is you would say small size so that you can carry it with you anywhere. Steam lasts for 30 minutes so that you can use it for your whole suite. Long cable so that it works in every hotel room. So you want to add all of the benefits, all of the desires, all of the feeling after the so that. So that's a great concept to look through that. So then if you go down on your page, we use image left, text right, image right, text left. And the headline of the text is always the benefit, is the feeling that you want to do. And then the text goes deeper into the feature. That does the same features that you have on top, just goes through that. Because what you're going to learn in the interviews is that not everyone is the same and everyone values things differently. So you have to kind of decide which is the most important feature, second most important feature, third most important feature, connect that with the benefits. Then you want to show proof that it actually works. So you do that with testimonials, you do it with before, after, you show it with videos, things like that. And then last, just take away the objections. You interviewed people that haven't bought steamers, so they will tell you, well, I didn't buy it yet because I have this concern or that concern. So you just want to take all of the concerns away. Then just have a call to action and get people to buy. In our experience, changing a page from a fact base to an emotional base doubled our conversions. So if you ever wondered about things like why people think breakfast is the most important meal of the day, well, that was Edward Bernays as well.
Newspapers throughout the country had headlines saying 4,500 physicians urge heavy breakfast in order to improve health of American people.
There's so many things that he influenced in the minds of the people today in society that you can really learn from. And if you want to dive deeper into that, there's a documentary here on YouTube that's called The Century of Self. So just have a look at that. It's a couple of episodes. It goes deep into the society of buying things, the consumerism, how that came all about.
Don't settle for anything less than you can be. Make your life a masterpiece.
Sometimes it's really important to step back from all of the hacks and all of the tricks and the new TikTok shops and the new things that you can do, because underneath all of these strategies and all of these tactics lie fundamentals of human psychology. So if you can learn about that, you'll be able to do better marketing and scale your ads, scale your product, scale your business, make more money, and that's what we all here for. Let me know in the comments below if you think that these principles are kind of evil manipulation or that they're actually just tools to persuade people. Is it manipulation or persuasion? Let me know in the comments below.